Senhoras e senhores, bom dia. Dando início ao segundo dia da terceira Conferência Internacional sobre Produtos Naturais e Saúde Humana 2023. Desejamos a todos um excelente evento.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We're starting today the second day of the third conference, International Conference on Natural Products and Human Health 2023. And we wish you a nice day and an excellent event.
Gostaria de chamar a moderadora da sessão A, Manejo de Doenças e Resposta Imune, professora doutora Chandramati Raju, Universidade de Malaya, Malásia.
I'd like to invite the chair of Section A, Disease Management and Immune Response, Professor Dr. Chandramati Raju, Malaya University, Malaysia.
I'm still floating. Is everybody back up in the building? It's been a minute, tell me how you're feeling. Cause I'm about to get into my feelings. How you feeling?
So thank you all for being here for the morning session. So this session is going to be on management of diseases and immune response. And without further ado, I would like to invite first speaker, Professor Jyoti Kayesth. She is from Infectious Diseases Detection and Surveillance, IDDS, India. And her topic is going to be on anti-tuberculosis activity of selected medicinal plants against Mycobacterium tuberculosis isolates. So let's give us applause and invite Dr. Jyoti.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chandra. Very good morning to each and everyone present here. It's so good to see bright and happy faces on this beautiful morning in Katandua. So I am it's a great honor for me to stand here in front of you and present in this third ICNPHH conference, and to share some of the insights, some of the thoughts, and some of the experiences working in TB control program in India since last many years. So there's no hardcore research, so I'm sorry if I disappoint some of you. It will be like sharing my experiences working in the program. And also some of the preliminary results of few selected plants against M. tuberculosis. So the presentation will move like this, that I'll explain to you the NTP program, its achievements and challenges, and then we'll be showing you the results of few anti-tuberculosis activity of few plants. So where I'm working presently, it's a USAID funded infectious disease detection and surveillance project. We are working in close collaboration with National TB Elimination Program and NCDC, that is National Center for Disease Control, in TB and AMR activities. So we are a team of 11 people, and we are mainly working to strengthen the TB laboratories in India, private sector lab engagement, and thirdly, we are working on very small operational projects which are of some utility to the program, so that program can take some policy decisions based on those, and they directly benefit the patient and have an impact on the patient. At the end of the day, we all are working for benefit of the patients, right? Before joining this project, I was at National Institute for TB and Respiratory Diseases. It's a national reference laboratory. So there are 6 So as you can see, there are 6 national reference laboratories in India, and NITRD is one of the national reference laboratories. All the states of India are divided among these 6 national reference labs for their trainings, for their recure activities, and also for providing diagnostic services to the TB patients. Now, NITRD is, as I told you, it's a reference lab, it's a reference hospital, and it's a 470-bedded TB hospital. This is the single hospital in Delhi which provides critical care to smear-positive TB patients. It has state-of-art laboratory with BSL-3 labs and also a ward for MDR patients. It's also a WHO center of excellence for tuberculosis and respiratory diseases. So the journey of tuberculosis in India, it's like started in way back, and now a lot of achievements have been made by the program. The program is making efforts to provide patient-centric approach, patient-centric treatment, and also comprehensive care and TB treatment. These are some of the initiatives like TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, which was initiated by Honorable PM of India in 2021. So this is a multi-centric approach, multi-dimensional approach, which tends to provide TB diagnostics for all patients, reach to the patients who are being treated in private sector, and also look for the patients who are marginalized and who require greater care at the point of time. So these are some of the initiatives which are given for treatment adherence, incentives, and to the enablers, like after completing a drug-resistant TB treatment, rupees 5,000 is given to all the treatment supporters. And also to the private providers, rupees 1,000 is provided to every notified TB patients. And also there's a Nikshay Poshan Yojana, which takes care of the nutrition of TB patients. And the patient is provided rupees 500 per month as a direct benefit transfer, which goes directly to their banks to all the TB patients. NTP has endorsed all the WHO endorsed technologies. As you can see, microscopy, gene expert. This is indigenously developed technology, which is known as TrueNat. And then there is LPA. So TrueNat and gene expert, they detect rifampicin resistance. After rifampicin resistance is detected at the periphery, the second sample goes to the intermediate reference lab for doing line probe assay. And line probe assay gives you results for INH and also for second line drugs. For the newer drugs, that is bedaquiline, linezolid, clofazimine, the sample is subjected to liquid culture DST. So these are some of the, in the earlier days, we only used to have solid culture. But slowly and slowly, the technologies changed, and NTP adopted all these technologies so that we could give the results to patients quickly, and also the sensitivity of these tests is much greater than smear microscopy. Also, the program is moving towards providing upfront DST for rifampicin to all TB patients, which means that they will slowly phase out microscopy with these diagnostic tests, that is TrueNat and CBNat. This picture gives you an idea of the enormous size of laboratories which India has. So as I told you, there are 6 national reference labs. Each state has 1 intermediate reference lab, which is equipped with line probe assay and liquid culture DST. Then in addition, there are 58 TB culture and DST laboratories. Presently, there are 5,090 NAT sites for detecting rif resistance at the periphery. And then in addition, there are 23,000, more than 23,000 microscopy sites, microscopy facilities, which are at the sub-district level. And you can see how it progressed from 1180 sites in 2018, these are the CBNAT sites, and how in 2019 there were only 367, and now there are 3615 sites, TrueNat sites in 2022. Now, though a lot of achievements have been made by the program, but still there are many challenges. So what are the challenges? India has more than 27% of the world's TB burden in the country. So if you look at the number of TB detected, in 2019, 2.4 million cases of TB were detected. But COVID-19, when it came, the notifications decreased by 38%. And then you can see there are 1.8 million TB cases. Though program picked up after COVID-19, but still you can see that we went back 3 to 4 years back after COVID-19, and still we are at 2.4 million cases. Another important issue is MDR. These are the numbers. You can see the number of MDR also decreased during COVID-19 period. The amount of the total number of cases which the Brazil has, I think it's around 70 to 72,000. India has that much cases of MDR TB. So you can just imagine the burden of tuberculosis, what's there. And if you see the prevalence of MDR, among new cases, it is 2.5%. And among previously treated cases is about 16%. Though the percentages might seem small to you, the actual numbers are huge, as you can see. In India is a country full of diversity. You travel few hundred kilometers, the language changes, the clothes change, the cultures change, even the food changes, everything changes when you move a few hundred kilometers, and so is the diversity of M. tuberculosis in India. So if you see, this was a work which was done by our group a few years back. We tried to characterize the strains from all over India. We collected the strains from all over India, and we tried to see what type of strains are prevalent in which portion of the country. So we could see that in northern region, you can see the Kayesth strain, which is the Central Asian strain, that predominated. But as we move down towards the south, the EAI strain predominated. Now, why these studies are important? Because these strains have different linkages with the resistance, and also the transmissibility is also different. So if you think about, if you see the EAI strains, in southern region, the resistance is very less. It's because of these strains, because they are not linked very much with the resistance. But if you see the Kayesth strain, and also in northeastern states, if you see, these are the seven sisters, we say them seven sisters of northeast. Here the Beijing strain is prevalent, which is known to be linked to greater transmissions, which is known to be linked to MDR TB, and also TB in younger age. These were the few publications which was done by our group, from these studies. Now, what technology was used? We used polygotyping for doing this. It's known as spacer oligotyping. So what we do is, there's a region which is known as the direct repeat region in MTB. We amplify that. And this is the apparatus. There is a nylon membrane on which the probes are immobilized. We just amplify the product, and we load it onto this nylon membrane, and we get an X-ray film like this. So by using the presence or absence of these spacers, we see what type of strains are present in an area. For example, I'll give you an example. If you see this particular, these are the negative controls, these two are the positive controls. So if you see this, so 1 to 3 are present, 1 to 3, then, 1 to 3, 8 to 23, and then 35 to 43. So this you can match. There is a, there's a software available in which there is data from all over the world regarding the M. tuberculosis strains, which is known as POL-DB4. And you can go and you can see with what it matches, and it gives you the name of the strain. So this particular strain is share type 26. Similarly, if you see this, if only the spacers are present from 35 to 43, then it means it's a Beijing type strain, right? So we also tried to see the association of drug resistance and also what all strains were prevalent in pediatric population. And to our surprise, we found that though in normal population, ST26 is prevalent, but in children, in pediatric population, the Beijing type strains were more prevalent. As you can see, this is the Beijing type, though means the percentage was almost equal for CAS as well as Beijing. So as I told you that Beijing strains are more linked with transmissions and more linked with MDR and more linked with smaller age groups, so which shows that transmission is ongoing from the adults to the children. We also tried characterizing some XDR strains, and in XDR strains also we could find that the Beijing strain was more prevalent in the XDR as well. Now, in addition to these, if you see at the treatment regimens which are presently given to the patients, there are 4 treatment regimens. One is for drug-sensitive TB. Then if a patient is resistant to INH, there is another treatment. Then there's a shorter MDR treatment, and then all oral longer MDR treatment. If you see at the duration of the treatment, then the smallest treatment is for 6 months. Just consider, if we are given an antibiotic by a doctor for say 5 days, we tend to take it for 3 days, and then we stop when we feel a bit better. Consider these patients who have to go to such long treatment. I have seen patients who say that it's better we die of the disease than dying of the side effects. You name the side effects and it's there in the list. So as you've seen, there are many challenges. So the program has to work like on building, strengthening, sustaining the policies on which the 3 pillars of prevent, detect, and treat, these rely. So we have to prevent the TB in patients. We have to detect more cases. We have to scale up the diagnostic technologies, rapidly identify, and then also treat the patients. We have to strengthen the treatment guidelines. We have to strengthen treatment shorter. And this is the place where the scientists who are working on plant-based products, they can come in and they can help in, because they have less side effects, and we should go for some regimens which are of smaller duration so that the compliance is maintained by the patients and patients complete the treatment. Abundant research is available for biotherapeutic potential of naturally occurring compounds in various diseases, but I think it's lagging in the area of TB. Why? Because some of people are afraid of working on TB, and secondly, because it requires stringent biosafety measures. It requires a TB containment laboratory. It requires all PPE when you are working. So maybe the labs, few of the labs do not have all these facilities, and they do not want to take up research in TB. So I think that these are the 2 main reasons. The first WHO Traditional Medicine Global Summit was held in India, and they looked anew at the applications of rigorous scientific methods to unlock the vast potential of traditional complementary and integrative medicine. So it was said that around 100 countries have traditional complementary integrative medicine related to national policies and strategies, and that artificial intelligence has an important role to play to mine the complex data available on the traditional medicines and identify practices that show promise for further scientific evaluations. So I was happy when the summit was held, and because people are using these products at home, but then scientific community always asks for evidence, and WHO is also encouraging countries, is also supporting the countries for generating these evidences. There is a list of plants with the known antituberculosis activity. I'll not go into the details of these, but these are available in the literature. So we tried to screen few plants for their antimicrobial activity. We're really thankful to Dr. Sunil Kayesth, Professor Deshbandhu College, who provided us with these extracts of Casia fistula, Catharanthus roseus, and these are plants with the known therapeutic potential in traditional medicines. And also the third plant was Videnia somnifera. This is known as Ashwagandha. I'll not go into detail of this plant because the next speaker will be discussing in detail about this plant, about the benefits of this plant, and will take you through the entire journey. So the extraction was done by SOX-less extraction method, and the extracts were transported to National Institute of TB and Respiratory Diseases from their college. Then the entire work was done inside a TB containment laboratory. This is the lab. So just to tell you that this lab has 3 rooms, and the rooms are dedicated for the work. In one room, culture is done, in another DST is done, and in another LPA is done, like molecular, and these things are segregated. So the experiments were done using the machine which is known as MJIT 960. I do not know how many of you are aware about this machine. It's known as Mycobacteria Growth Indicator Tube. Why it's called as 960? Because it has 3 drawers. So you can keep 320 plus 320 plus 320 cultures in 3 drawers, which makes it as 960. And so we used BBL midget tubes, which had 7H9 broth base, and also growth supplement, which contains OADC, that is oleic acid, albumin, dextrose, and catalase, which are required for nutrition of mycobacteria and allow it to grow proficiently. So if you see at the base of these tubes, there is a silicon rubber on which there is a fluorescent compound, which is bind to this silicon rubber. The tubes are flushed with oxygen because bacteria requires oxygen for its growth. So when there is no growth, the fluorescent material is bind with the oxygen, and there is no fluorescence. As you can see, there is little or no fluorescence in these tubes when the fluorescent material is bind to the oxygen. But once the bacteria grows, it utilizes the oxygen, and the fluorescent material is free, and it shows the fluorescence whenever the bacteria is growing. So this is an automated machine. It's a walk-away system. You just have to incubate the tubes. It maintains a temperature of 37 degrees centigrade, and it continuously monitors the fluorescence. There is a detector board which moves below each drawer, and it checks the fluorescence from each tube. The fluorescence detected is converted by a software which is above this machine here, and it converts it into growth unit, and it tells you whether the culture is positive or negative. So it's a very simple 4-step procedure. So you just have to insert the tubes. You just have to barcode. There's a barcode on the tube. You just have to scan the barcode, and then the machine will tell you where you need to keep the tube, and you just keep the tube, and then just you walk away. So it tells you about positive and negatives. Like in the morning when you enter the lab, it will give you a beep. You can see the three icons, like positive, negative, and an error. So you just have to like check if there are any positives, and then there is a display on the machine which tells you how many positives, negatives, or DSTs are running and what you need to do with the positive or negative tubes. So this shows how it detects. So detector board moves below the tubes and it detects the fluorescence and converts it into growth unit. So all these machines are linked to a software which is known as BD Epicenter, which means that you can monitor the tubes from the outside of your lab. There's no need to go inside the lab and inside the TB containment lab. All the machines are interlinked, and you can check the positivity or what's the growth unit inside the tubes from outside the lab. You can do any number of DSTs for any new drugs. This graph shows you the different concentrations of ethambutol, and the blue curve is for the growth control. When the growth control reaches 400, the readings are stopped, and it gives you whether it's sensitive or whether it's resistance for a particular DST. So inoculations were done inside the biosafety cabinets, and these were the control and the test tubes. In the control tubes, the extract was not there, and rest, everything was similar in the control and the test. So we started with the first, so the tubes were scanned, and then they were placed inside the machine. This is the graph which we got for control tube in Catharanthus roseus. So as you can see that the curve, the red line which you can see, the growth started at the 7th day, and we got the control tube positive at 7th day. And this is the readings. Around 896 is the growth unit, and it's the time. But as you can see, this is the plot with the extract. So the tubes were there inside the machine for 42 days. There was no fluorescence, there was no positivity, which means that the growth was inhibited by the extract. And the tubes got the measured machine reports the result as negative after 42 days. So below is the report of the same. This is for the another two extracts, and these are the results with Kayesth fistula and within Mia somnifera. So I was really surprised to see the results, because I've seen this organism growing in hardest of the drugs, in the presence of hardest of the drug, but with all the three extracts, there was no growth in any of the tubes. So all the three plant extracts showed antimicrobial properties, but yes, these are very preliminary results, and studies are required for understanding the mechanisms and potential for bacterial clearance, etc. I've kept this slide just for a food of thought for everyone. This was a report published by Center of Science and Environment in India. And it says that pipeline for new antibiotics is drying up because of increasingly lesser research on new antibiotics. Our recent assessment has shown that major pharmaceutical companies are opting out of research and development for new antibiotics, not just because it is a high risk and low return proposition, but also because there is much more profit in drugs that are used for treating diseases like cancers and diabetes. So if this is the situation, we are depleting the existing antibiotics. We do not have anything in pipeline. The report says it's a hollow pipeline. So the need of the hour is to move to alternatives for antibiotics. It says that out of the 1,000 molecules in the clinical pipeline, only 13 were antibacterial candidates, which is just 1.3% of the total candidates. And in contrast, 411 candidates, that is 40.8%, are for oncology and being developed by 13 countries. So if you think that TB is not an issue for you, then my dear friends, resistance is not just restricted to TB. Antimicrobial resistance is a huge problem. It's a huge global health, it's a health threat all around the globe, and it's a slow pandemic. What can, my key message, my last slide is, what can you do as a student or as a citizen is that follow hand hygiene and teach same to the children. Cover mouth while coughing or sneezing. Improve sanitation and prevent the spread of infection. Take antibiotics as prescribed. The more we use them, the more we are going to lose them. So do not use antibiotics without prescription and do not skip doses. Do not take antibiotics which are prescribed for someone else and reduce unnecessary use of antimicrobials in agriculture and their dissemination into the environment. The little efforts from all of you can make a big difference. This is my team at NITRD and this is my present team at IDDS. I acknowledge, I showed you few of the publications because my work was not very much related to the theme of the conference. So whatever small work we could do with the plant extract, I tried to show that. So I'm thankful to Professor Rana for providing me this opportunity and also for her excellent hospitality. She's not here. Yesterday I was, she's there. I mean, the thoughtful arrangements, our stay, the delicious food, we enjoyed everything, and this will be a memorable conference for all of us. Yesterday I was talking to a student from UNIFIPA. He was telling me that there is some spell in this city. Once you come, there is a magic, you can never forget it. So I think he was very correct. We have traveled to many countries, to many places, met some of very good people, but the love and affection which we have received from the Brazilian people and from Catandua that will always be in our hearts forever and in our memories also. Obrigado to each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jyoti, for her excellent talk. So now we can ask for one or two questions. Is there any questions from the floor? Yeah.
Microphone. I can take the microphone. Just a second.
I'm sorry. I would like to ask if there is a perspective for the new phytotherapeutic treatment to substitute the classic drugs, or if they will be added to the classic treatment. So
yeah,
if
that's
we...
a very good question. They can be added as adjunct to the present treatment which is being given, so that they help the patient in, turning to smear negative earlier, or increasing their weight, or they can help in certain act as immunomodulators, and they boost up the immune system. So they can act in both ways.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Do you think if we start using phytotherapics, we could reduce the time of treatment? Because it's a very long treatment,
Yes.
like 6 months minimum.
Yes, it's a very long treatment. 6 months is just for drug-sensitive TB. If you go for drug-resistant, if you go for XDR TB, then it's around 2 years. So that's a long, long treatment. We need to work on this. And yes, I think we can, with compounds, certain compounds we can reduce, because earlier this treatment was not for 6 months, it was much longer. When pyrazinamide was introduced, that treatment was reduced from 9 months to 6 months. So we need to have some molecules which can reduce the time of the treatment of the patient, so that the compliance is there and the outcomes of the treatment, cure rates increase.
Thank you.
It was a very good presentation. I enjoyed it so much. The fact is, two questions raised in my mind. The first question is, when you're saying that the identification of the tuberculosis, the positive control, is it just identification of the bacteria growing or identification of a specific strain of that tuberculosis?
Ma'am, midget machine does not differentiate between if it's a bacteria or if it's MTB. Or it does not differentiate. Anything which grows, it glows, right? So we have to check what is growing inside the tube. We prepare a smear, we do a blood agar, check if it's not a contamination, and then do additional tests that it belongs to MTB complex. That's a lateral assay. It's a lateral flow assay which detects, it's known. Yes. It's known as SD byline, so that has to be done.
The second question, when you presented the isolates, that there are 4 states, my question is, are there differences between the northern and the southern? There is difference. In how many % differences?
There was only one isolate for CAS in the south, and all the strains belong to EAI, that is East African Indian. But if you see in the north, the prevalent strains are CAS, that is Central Asian strains, and there the percentage of EAI strains was very less. If you go to the northeast, the Beijing strains are prevalent. So there is a clear demarcation of strains, as I told, that there's a diverse, geographical distribution is there. Sure.
Do we have time for one more question? We have a student here. Can it be?
Excuse me, I'm very glad to be here. Could these plant extracts be used as well for preventive treatment in high-risk population as well?
Yes, more research needs to be done, I would say. Because if there is a particular component which can be used as a drug, then why not for preventive treatment? Presently, we are giving some drugs for preventive treatment. Yes, if there is a drug, it can be given.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Jyoti, again for the wonderful talk and answering all the questions.